And people need to understand what happened in the 90s was far more intrusive. And it seems reasonable to me to look for patterns of phone calls that are made to Iran or phone calls that are made to an area where there is a terrorist activity. That makes sense to me.
Sean, maybe I'm not communicating very well tonight. I'm actually more pro-national security than your description. I believe if you went to the American people and said to them, we're going to track down every conversation that involves terrorism in America, the 99% of the country would say, go for it. Don't worry about all this detail stuff, as long as you protect the innocent.
Can I ask a question?
And I think the president, sure.
If we communicate that to the American people, I mean, because all we're looking at are patterns to find the enemy. We're not looking at the content. We're not listening to people's calls. But haven't we then telegraphed to the enemy what our plans are, and doesn't that take away any effectiveness it could have?
No, my point is, if you're going to be in a long war, which the president has correctly defined it as, and General Abizaid has correctly defined it as, you've got to carry the American people in a free society. They've got to be committed to the long war. In the long war, if you say to the American people, we may actually have to look at the content, but we're only looking for things like nuclear weapons, biological weapons, terrorist acts, suicide bombers. Is it okay with you if we monitor calls that use these phrases or parallels for those phrases? The American people are going to say, protect me, don't worry about my privacy rights if the choice is to lose New York.
Look, this enemy is technologically advanced. They are keenly and acutely aware of the American political system. We monitor every comment that Osama bin Laden makes. His awareness of the political debate within this country is keen. So as soon as we were to say that to the American people, any effectiveness that the program would have given us is taken away because the element of surprise is taken away. So in that sense, if it's far less intrusive than the program we were using, it makes sense that we ought to be doing it.
Look, I think we lose ground to the left when we play games. I think if we go to the country and say, the price of blocking a nuclear attack on New York City, the price of blocking a biological attack on America, may be having a specialized agency that consciously, aggressively hunts for terrorists. Are you willing to accept that, even at the risk of some intrusion in your personal life? I think 90% of the American people would say,
I'm not sure about that, but of course they didn't do that. But Mr. Speaker, the FISA law says the exclusive means by which they can do electronic surveillance is the FISA law. It doesn't say eavesdropping. It says electronic surveillance. That's the exclusive means. That's what the law says. Michael Hayden said that he didn't go to the FISA court. He didn't think he'd get permission. He didn't go to the U.S. Attorney General's office. He didn't think he'd get permission. So they knew they're on slippery territory here because they couldn't get the proper authorities to let them do what they wanted to do.
Look, Alan, I believe the administration would be better off to go to the American people and change the law. I think the American people, if told what the cost is going to be of not having this information,
wouldn't they also have to change the
Constitution?
Constitution?
About the danger.
Fourth Amendment.
No, it's not a question
probable
of the Constitution.
cause in order you need a warrant.
Constitution. Look, Abraham Lincoln fought a civil war in which at one point he suspended habeas corpus because it was the price of sustaining the Union. In the Second World War, we did the things we had to do to win, and a U.S. Supreme Court justice said the Constitution is not a suicide pact.
You want to suspend the Bill of Rights?
There are ways to write up. There are ways. I'm absolutely for the Bill of Rights.
You want to suspend them?
There are ways to define surveillance that make it quite clear that as long as you're innocent, you're protected. But if you're a terrorist, we're going to find you.
The Fourth Amendment says you have to have probable cause, and you need a warrant, and there has to be probable cause. Now, I don't know how you get around that unless you change the Fourth Amendment.
I suspect you can clearly define an ability to look, which then leads to probable cause that gets you a warrant in real time if you think through how to do it. But there's no requirement that says the United States has to lose a city to a nuclear attack or lose 5 million people to a biological attack because we can't get the lawyers to talk to each other. And I think most Americans would agree that there's a practical issue of national security which transcends the lawyers.
The last point is the President's Article 2 power to the Constitution as Commander-in-Chief. He has to ensure the safety of this country and the American people, doesn't he? Especially during war.
I think if he's clear and candid about what he needs consistently for 225 years, the American people have supported the right to defend America over the right of lawyers and the ACLU to protect the civil liberties of those who are guilty.
All I can say is you got to go home, meditate on the fact that you agree with Alan.
Welcome to America.
It is a sign that this is...
I knew this was going to be a bad moment.
This is not a good day for you. Anyway.
Newt, when are you running for president?
Oh, great. There you go.
We'll talk about it later, Alan, in New Hampshire.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Speaker. Appreciate your time.